And speaking of big opinions, we're now on to the film recommendation portion of the show. So for anyone tuning in for the first time who doesn't know how this works, is the guest recommends me a movie, or in this case, movies, and I recommend the guest a movie, and then we share our thoughts. So in this instance, AJ recommended me two films from his production company, the short that you mentioned earlier, Neon Boys, and Your Eyes on Me. So I guess let's start with Neon Boys. So where did that idea come from?
So tragically enough, because of what that movie's about,
well, actually, I should say really first, what is the movie about for anyone who's listening and hasn't seen it yet?
So Neon Boys is a story about a man who was in jail. We don't really know why. He's gotten out, and he is a straight person, a straight man who decides to go dance in gay clubs in order to make money. And he has a child, so he has to help take care of that child financially, and he winds up falling in love with one of the other go-go boys. There's the movie has tragedy, it has love. You really do, in my opinion, you really do struggle to not feel for these two characters. I think that it's really a story of trying to be triumphant in a time and place where you are not able to succeed. And sadly, the story was based on the lead character, Jonathan Salazar, who plays Ricky, is based on his life. So he was the one who, the go-go boy that the person in jail fell in love with. And he lived that experience with that lover of his and the tragedy that went along with it. So to say that performance from the Ricky character was genuine would be an understatement. He lived it, and then he just lived it again for the film. And it was difficult to have someone that was that connected to the film. But I also feel like it brought genuine feelings to it, and he wanted that's why he made it. He wanted to make it, and he used it as a little bit of therapy to get over that situation. So that's how the film was born.
And I think that sort of that genuine emotion does really come across in a lot of scenes. That was one of my favorite aspects was the performances from the two leads. It's very, very personal. The dialogue is kind of very, I don't want to say brief, but like everything is that they kind of say to each other is very matter of fact, but so much gets communicated in their expressions and the way that the lines are said. And it is that was one thing that I really, really enjoyed about that short.
Thank you. Yeah, I was very blessed with my entire cast. Matty Glitterati Kinkle, he plays the person that was in jail, and he, I know him personally. I knew he could pull off playing heterosexual. No one really. I mean, listen, his name is Matty Glitterati. Like, so a lot of our audience that is a fan of his was very surprised on how quote unquote masculine, whatever that means, how masculine he was able to be in the movie, and it was really fun watching him really utilize his talent, and he's an undercast individual. I'm not really sure why. I think people just have this idea of him as this crazy queer DJ, and he's amazing as a DJ. But I think people just have that in their head. And one day he was in the movie Kill a Unicorn, and we were playing like this, like, let's see how long we could act heterosexual game, which is always fun. It's always like, I love that sports ball this Sunday, and luckily, playing and joking, much nicer than the way heterosexuals make fun of us. We do it in a more joking way. And I just remember looking at him and going, oh, he could actually pass as straight. And then this movie came along, and I was like, Maddie, I have it for you, the perfect acting challenge. So I was very lucky to challenge him with that role. And then even Tim Morris, who plays Big Daddy in it. And Tim has a wildly successful comedy career. And I read
and that definitely comes across. He was, every single time he was on screen, I was laughing. It was such a good performance.
Yeah, the scene where there's a scene, not to give, it doesn't give any plot points away, but there's a scene that he's jerking off in his office, and we couldn't get the reaction from the two actors when they came in. It was the first day on set. We hadn't played a lot yet, and I just was like, "Hey Tim, how do you feel about taking your pants off? Leave your underwear on, but take your pants off." And he was like, and he's like, okay, yeah, that's great. And he took them off, and obviously was still covered, but the boys were not prepared to see his legs, his hairy legs right now. And they come in and they laugh, and it's a take that we chose. It was perfect. It was like everything that I wanted happened in that moment. And it was really great. And actually, a little tidbit for those that are gonna watch Neon Boys, the scene that he's jerking off to, the porn part of it was actually the sex scene from our film Kill a Unicorn. So we just put one of my movies as the porn from my other movie.
A nice way to reuse some resources.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, like I'm like, if the biggest part of this budget is having to buy a porn clip that I can use, that's gonna be crazy. And I was like, oh, but the sex scene in Kill a Unicorn was kind of hot. Yeah, I'm gonna use that.
And I guess it shows that that Tim has good taste in his porn selection then.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, it was really fun. And Vincent DePaul, who plays Mr. Ruxton, he's got 2 Emmys. He's an out and proud gay actor who works a lot. He just gets cast in a lot of like Hallmark type movies where he plays heterosexual. And so he got the script, and he was like, I'm gonna be in New York, can we film it around this time? And I was like, yeah man, but like I'm paying SAG minimum over here, like I wasn't gonna do SAG actors, but like if you want to do it, I'll go through the paperwork. And he was like, I'm happy to do it for SAG minimum. And I was like, did I really just get a 2-time Emmy nominated and 2-time Emmy winner actor to do SAG minimum? Damn, yeah, I did. I got that. And I'm very, luckily, and he's so handsome and such an amazing actor. It was a pleasure to work with him. So I was very lucky overall. Even with Kelsey Danae, who plays the estranged wife, she has to yell out the word faggot in it. And as a straight woman, she knows better. And I had to like really convince her, like, honey, any other time you're not allowed to say it, but I need you to say it. I'm like, I appreciate that you don't want to say it, but I need you to say it. And when she says it, it's so heart-wrenching, and she just does an amazing job. She mostly does musical theater, so she has to, show her emotions to the 40th row back. So it was quite, amazing to work with such a seasoned actress. So it was great overall. I had so much fun on that movie.
Yeah, and that moment is very, very powerful. I think the 2 moments that stand out for me the most is that moment where it's sort of sorry, I'm blanking on the name, when Sean, I'm getting them reversed. Sean is the straight man, correct?
Yes, yeah. That's
sorry,
Sean.
I have trouble with names sometimes. But yeah, so but that scene when Sean is between Ricky and Rebecca, and like he can't say anything correct. Like no matter what he says, it's gonna ruin the situation for somebody. And when Rebecca does call him a faggot, and it is so heart-wrenching just the way you describe it. And when he turns around and sees Ricky, like you don't even need the words there. It's just so intense.
It really is a movie about a man trying to make right and having everything go wrong around him, and just watching someone who is empirically good and is at his core a good man, and just shit just happens around him, and it's like constant. And that's why we really never talk in the movie why he went to jail, because by the end it's something he didn't really do, or he was like wrong place, wrong time kind of guy. And we just felt that was kind of important to, like, let's not allude to what it was. Let's hope that the audience sees him as good that bad happens around.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel, that my direction led him there.
It
Pat
definitely
myself on
did.
the back a little bit.
It definitely did. Yeah, and it's a very great short. Anyone who is listening to this who hasn't seen it yet, and the same can be said about all your movies on your website. There's always a link tree to like all sorts of crazy different ways that you can watch the movie. Too many to
Yeah.
list, so go check
Yeah,
out.
yeah, we have a whole watch here section on my website, and it'll lead you to the ones that are like on Amazon and such. But I always also try to let people know, like, if you're gonna have to pay, if you're gonna put your credit card in, why not buy it at a place like tlavideo.com or sign up for something like Fearless Streaming that puts
Mm-hmm.
money not only into my pocket but also into the pocket of other gay people. Listen, Amazon does what it needs to do for filmmakers, but
Support artists creating
support
art.
artists, yes, support artists creating art, and support the companies who felt that they wanted to showcase queer filmmakers. Reverie.com, Out TV, Here TV. Here TV is amazing to queer filmmakers. They are one of the few companies that pay us outwardly. So support Here TV. I really can't speak, more kindly about the companies that I work with. You'll see a lot that you have never heard of. Click on them. They have some films that you're only missing out on because mainstream media hasn't deemed them important enough. And that has nothing to do with the quality of the film. It just has to do with the amount of money we have for marketing.
Exactly.
So I always suggest, like, hop on those sites, and after you pay to watch my movie, do that first. Then scour around the site and search for things that you find important. Most of these websites are also doing amazing things for the Black Lives Matter movement, where they'll put a whole section that's just Black movies. Watch these movies; they're made by Black filmmakers. Learn something, learn something about people that aren't you. So a lot of these independent, unlike Amazon, who is just capitalizing on it, these other companies are actually putting the money into the hands of filmmakers that need it, and are showcasing the underserved. So I always, go and watch them. They're really doing great jobs.
Definitely, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And then moving on, also you're able to find on that website the other recommendation, Your Eyes on Me by Sergei Alexander. I hope I'm pronouncing the first name right. Like I said, I'm terrible with names, but yeah. So I guess tell us a little bit about Your Eyes on Me.
Your Eyes on Me is a feature film takes place in the United Kingdom. The storyline has to do with a young drag performer who is following around a veteran drag performer who they wind up falling in love. They wind up having sexual intercourse, and then, without spoiling too much, they find out that they have a connection in the past that throws their love for quite the loop. Um, I will say it is a taboo love story for sure. I highly enjoy it. I thought the direction was really good. I like things that are out of the norm. It seems like a regular film when you start it, and then as it goes on and deeper, you get to see inside the lives and the minds of the characters and how they live their lives and what they find forgiveness and what they find forgiveness in, what they worry about, what they find and step trepidatiously into. It is definitely a movie that will, in my opinion, make you rediscover what you might feel is right and wrong, and what you're, putting something, a moral thing into the limelight, and making you really kind of sit with something that might seem wrong or might seem right at first, and make you come to your own moral decisions on that. I really enjoyed this piece. It's my first feature that I've distributed outside of my own work, obviously. And I was super happy that nobody picked it up before me. I think the film is really well made, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm ecstatic to be putting it out there and getting it out there.
I can imagine, yeah. So how did it come across your radar?
I essentially scour Instagram for the hashtags gay film. I follow gay film festivals. I follow LGBT movies, and any movie that I haven't seen, I go and I like if it's not Brokeback Mountain or Trick or something that we all know is distributed. If it's a film that I've never heard of, I write them and I say, hey, I want to see a screener. Here's my company, what my company's about. And he just sent me the screener and was like, hey, I made this movie. I enjoy it, but I'm on to something else. So let me know if you want to do anything with it. And I was like, you were just going to make this movie and not distribute it? Like, give it to me. Give it to me. And I've been luckily able to get it onto a lot of different outlets. And, pending the platform is depending on whether or not they, everyone has to check their morals, right? So some platforms have been like, oh, I've had a lot of reviewers say like, I love the movie, but I can't admit to loving the movie. So I can't review it for you. And I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. But, I appreciate, the honesty and the transparency. Because I have had reviewers review other movies and been like, not my cup of tea, I'm not putting it out there. Where, it's interesting to get the feedback like, I loved it, but I can't I can't review it.
Right.
So, it does deal with a taboo topic, and, just kind of, he didn't think that people would want to see it because he probably got one bad review about the issue that's dealing with. And, that one bad review probably, is the reason and is making me some money. So, I'm happy for that bad review. it kind of made him stop looking. And, I understand he's a first-time filmmaker, and and he really trusted me. And I'm putting it out there, and I'm making him a little bit of money. And it's coming to Deco really soon, and it's already on a bunch of outlets. So hopefully people will check it out and be intrigued, because it intrigued the hell out of me.
Definitely, yeah. And if anyone who's listening to this hasn't gone and watched the movie yet, you definitely should. I liked it a lot. Again, a lot of the same reasons why I like Neon Boys. I think the two lead performances were very, very powerful. Again, like saying so much while also saying very little, especially the Gloria, her character was amazing. Sort of
so good. I'm very sad that they live in the United Kingdom, because I'm like, I would cast you so fast in New York.
Yeah, but just amazing. The one other thing that I also really liked, and I was kind of worried about it at first, was the music, because I definitely got a very specific vibe watching it, where I was like, okay, this is gonna really try hard and make me feel something with the melancholy piano, and it's gonna tell me, okay, this is what you're supposed to feel in this scene. But I completely forgot about it because I got so wrapped up in the two leads' performances and the sort of the moments they have leading up to the big reveal.
Yeah, I think with a lot of, now that I'm distributing movies from all over the world, there's a distinct difference between American movies and other countries. I knew that for horror movies, right? Like, horror movies in America always end 9 times out of 10, with the girl surviving, and whereas in Europe it's a whole different story. Like, it always ends sadly. So I knew that with horrors, but I didn't realize that the tone of movies from the United Kingdom is set up differently. And then I started watching some television from the United Kingdom, and I was like, oh, it just feels different. So I at first I was a little trepidatious, again, because of the music. I agree with you with the music, and I was like, okay, I just gotta lean into it. And then as I started watching other movies from the United Kingdom, I was like, oh, this is kind of a thing for their films. It's kind of a trope for their films. Whereas we have ours, of course. So it's interesting, yeah, and it's nice to know other people are noticing that too. It's not just in my head.
Yeah, I'm glad that we we both agree on that, because I kind of felt bad about that at first. Again, I eventually came around to it, but it was that was something that I kind of winced at a little bit in the beginning. But it's interesting you say that about the whole the different cliches and all that. I think a lot of that, and again, it's hard for me to say because it's not a market or a demographic that I pay a lot of attention to, but I think that the sort of European market for queer movies is, from what just looking at it on the outside, I feel like the environment over there is much more accepting and a little bit more understanding than what we have here. So I think movies like this are a bit more commonplace or made with a bit more love and attention. One example that I always give is I forget the name of the guy who directed it, but Weekend. Are you familiar with that movie?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Yeah. I love that one. I always recommend that to people as like people who want like a good but also kind of sad romance. But I got a lot of kind of vibes, especially in the second half of this movie, as I got in Weekend. It's a very like, not maybe like like Weekend, I feel like is maybe a bit more like kind of sad, but I feel like this one is more uplifting, I guess. But it sort of gives you the same sort of emotional like pull, and I really like that.
Yeah.
So I guess check out both of those movies, Neon Boys and Your Eyes on Me. Again, the link trees are available on AJ's website. You can watch them on a whole bunch of different platforms, like we said, Amazon Prime, but definitely go out of your way if you can to support the more curated sites that you mentioned, where it's like there's a lot more of that care and attention, and it's all done within sort of the community, because it's definitely, again, the point we keep coming back to is fund artists creating art, but also we're not going to see more representation if we're not funding the people who are creating that representation. So definitely check out both those films.
Please, whenever you watch an independent film, whether it be mine or somebody else's that you know, take the time to go onto the website and leave a review. For Amazon specifically, you need 100 reviews in order for it to pop up on major other films that you might want to watch. So if you watch a gay film, there'll be other gay films that say that, that don't have 100 reviews. But in order for it to come up underneath like one of your mainstream movies as movies you might enjoy, it needs over 100 reviews. So just, if you really like a movie and you don't have the financial means to fund, to give funds during GoFundMes or Kickstarters or Seed and Sparks, if you don't have the money to do that, at least, do us all a favor and take a moment and go and review it on Amazon or review it on IMDb and review it on wherever you watch it. Even if I think Hulu even has a thumbs up or thumbs down. Just do it. It really does help. And also, if you don't have the funding to help independent films get made, share it. Tell people about it. Use your words. It really can mean a difference between a movie being successful and a movie not being successful. I always tell people, if my friends would talk about my movies as much as they talk about the new Lady Gaga song, I would be a millionaire. And show that kind of love to your friends that are making movies, that are spending their life savings, and in my case, spending my inheritance from my list. So, just share it, talk about it, tell people about it. It means a lot. It means more than you would actually realize. Yeah.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more.